Oh my God. I don't know if he wants me telling this story, but I mean, it was in one of his videos, so he probably should. So we went to go buy a McLaren for him. Like he found a McLaren that was in South Florida. And South Florida is the exact place you do not want to go buy a car, especially a McLaren. So South Florida, we get there, and it's like this compound in the hood, like the hood. There was barbed wire. There's armed guards there. And then we get in, and there's this dude. Apparently, he's the owner or the owner's son. He has a guy following him with a giant freaking carbine, just walking around. This place looks like a third world country. I'm sorry, developing country. And and then like we see the car, and I'm there. He brought me along because I know a few things about McLarens, and I had my McLaren diagnostic. The car wouldn't start, and I was like, "Hey, I bet we can get this thing to start. If we just code a few things." So I'm standing there, like I get in the car, and it's right next to the men's room, which is the door wide open. It smells like piss and shit. It just smells like it exactly, men's room. And we have this car that should have been $200,000, and it was the most insane thing ever. We actually got it, end up getting the car running. We got it on the trailer, and then on the way out, we probably saw 15, 20 hookers on the same street. So it was like it's stuff like that is great.
That explains the $85,000 a month. Now I know where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like. These are the kinds of adventures you get into when you buy, really crappy cars for YouTube, and you can't really put that all on camera. But it was an insane story.
So this guy was wealthy enough to live, I assume wherever he wanted, since he had a $200,000 car, and he lived like right next to a men's room in the hood.
Yes. So he had a business that would take these cars. Like, so we were surrounded by other. We're surrounded by other, exotic cars like Lamborghini Urus, like that SUV or whatever. He had like 3 of them. There's another McLaren. There's a Ferrari. And, he would get these cars from Copart or, whatever salvage lot. And then he would export them. And when you export things tend, paperwork tends to go missing. And, the laws surrounding rebuilds, they're probably not a little less stringent. So things like that. But that was the sort of business that, he ran, and he had to have armed security 24/7. So I don't know. Take.
You made me think of the potential for scamming in that world. Like, do you know any stories of someone like paying hundreds of thousands for a car, and then it arrives and it is what you described earlier? Like, this is a Corvette in a fucking Bugatti shell. So and there's no recourse.
Yes and no. I mean, that you don't really get catfished with cars. Like sometimes you get, people buy cars and they're like, oh my God, this car's a piece of crap. But that's, you could do that with a Honda Civic. What happens with hundreds of thousands of dollars, when it's, when you have exotic cars and you're at that price point, is that people will find out that you're looking for a car, and then they'll match up with somebody else that's selling that car. They will copy that listing, pretend they're the seller, and then basically talk as an intermediary to both parties, thinking so that way the guy can go see the car. Like this just happened at a dealership to a friend of mine, and he was like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the dealership. I'm going to check out the car. Car checks out. It's it's a good price. Then he goes back to negotiate, and then he finds out something's wrong. He's like, was there an Irish guy, in this equation? He's like, no, we don't have any Irish people working here. It's like okay, well, I don't know. The guy I talked to was very, very heavy Irish accent. And then, it turns out the guy was, offering the car for like 15% less, but he was like, all right, I need you to wire me $150,000 and then you can come get the car. But he would have wired this total stranger $150,000. And the car's not even his. So, I don't know how many of those you can do without getting, murdered. But
probably not a lot with that kind of money.
Better have armed guards 24/7 if you do that.
Yeah. And there's a reason that guy was doing that from Ireland. Like a little bit of safety there, probably.
Absolutely. But for $150,000, a lot of things are possible.
Maybe he was just putting on an accent.
Oh yeah,
that would be so funny. It's like some guy is like, "Hold on, I got to take this." Top of the morning to you. Are you still interested in that car we've been talking about, bandying about the price? Eh?
What accent would you use, Taylor?
Hey,
What's your most trustworthy business
I'm
accent?
sorry, guys. I got to take this. My cars and garters. I can't sell it for that low.
All Taylor's accents are not people I'd pay 150 grand to, like not Mutombo, not whoever Native American dude is.
I don't know. With that accent, I feel like if he was like even being mean and rude in negotiation, I would take it like sort of better. I've always thought that like when you hear someone say something in an accent, you hear it differently. I don't know. You hear,
but if it's that bad, part of you might be like, yeah, if he were faking it, he'd do better.
I think part of it is you sort of give that foreign culture that comes along with the foreign accent, like, oh, maybe that's their sense of humor. He doesn't mean fuck you, you cunt. That's just how they are.
Australian.
That's how they say hello.
Yeah, exactly. You sort of like let them get away with a little bit more. I don't know. I always found that I know in car sales, like people with accents seem to do well at it.
Did it depend on the accent?
Well,
it depends on the accent. Yeah, if you have if you have a posh UK
high
accent,
GDP accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. You want an expensive accent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a Nigerian guy who had like this really posh European accent, and he's a big, like, handsome guy. He was tremendous at selling cars. But then you had, well, I guess everybody had their niche anyway. Because I was gonna say like the Spanish guy, but he was the only guy who spoke Spanish, so he got every Spanish speaking customer. So that's a whole other thing.
That's a great situation to be in,
right?
Like,
to be the only Spanish speaking salesman. There was a lady who pretended she could speak Spanish so she could like get into his fucking customer base, and you'd see them over there struggling.
Regular Peggy Hill.
Dude, she was the
Hola,
worst.
senoritos.
She was very look, I only bring this part up because she did file sexual complaints against several people there. Not me. Obviously, I was a very young man, but she was a very unattractive lady, and she was always lying and cheating customers. Like what I'm talking about. Like the way that she would like, yes, como está? Me llama Peggy Hill. And like that was it. That's all she had. Now we're at like El Fordo. Mucho safety. Like, and meanwhile
they're interested in El Camaro. My job's halfway done.
and then there's fucking meanwhile Francisco's over there. Man was born in Mexico City. He's as Mexican as it gets. like he's Captain Mexico. Oh, I hated that lady. Man,
well, it sounds like you dodged a bullet for not getting lied about by the thieving saleswoman.
She was an older. Nobody was thinking that 19-year-old Kyle was hitting on that gal.
Did she dress to look Hispanic?
She was black.
She still could have. Like she's
yeah, she had a sombrero. I mean, but...
she did. Yeah, that's how you knew. That's how you knew.
I just kept the sun out of her eyes. That's all that was about.
If I was buying a car and one of the salesmen had like chips and salsa on their desk, I've made my decision.
Oh,
like I'm gonna go eat with. It's like the worst case scenario is like a snack.
I would get customers
genius.
Like if the paperwork was taking a long time because AKA they had bad credit and we were trying to find a bank, I would often buy them dinner and like have it delivered. If there was money there to be made, like if keeping them in that chair meant like getting the sale done that was going to be profitable, I would buy them dinner.
Did you ever have somebody push for a more expensive dinner than you initially did?
No, but like I was like, what, you guys want something to eat? What'd you like? And they were like, Outback's down the street, right? And I was like, fuck, so is Wendy's.
Outback, they just closed E. coli thing, right? Anyway. How about
they got Anytizers at Chili's tonight.
Anytizers. Yeah. Anytizers. Yeah. Oh my god.